Shorty Torres!
All right, we are back again. It seems like we were just here yesterday. So, as always, it's me and Shorty tonight. And yeah, man, it sounds like you've had quite the busy day.
Question: did you shave and get a haircut today?
No, I did last week, a week before. I know my
Well,
hair has been a mess. I don't know why.
well, you finally did it, I guess. I mean, because I'm like, yo, who is this gentleman? You look like a fresh, clean shave. Your hair's done up, a little glossed up. I'm like, oh my god, where are you going? What's her name?
Yeah, I know. It's like I got a different look every time I come on here. So no, I got my hair cut I want to get it trimmed up again this week, but I got it done like 2 weeks ago, and then I just kind of gave a little shave, get the little stash, a little bit of like I don't know. I feel like a Spanish prince here or something. I don't know. Get the whole
Wait,
mustache thing going on.
you're the Tapatio guy from the bottle, but why are you basic bitch Luke?
Yeah, it was just a name. Just thought I'd just throw it out there.
You're not a basic bitch. You're more complex than that. Don't put yourself down.
Yeah, I know. I should have put
No,
like fucking king. I don't know, something on there.
no. Let's not go too far. Let's not go too far. But somewhere in between. Somewhere in between. We'll work our way up. But
Exactly.
to answer your question, yeah, man, I've had a busy week. Shot 2 commercials on Friday on my birthday, and then was able to go out to eat, and then just been chilling. I know practically almost all day Saturday. I fell asleep. I think I was in bed for about 15, 16 hours because I was just so tired from the jet lag, other stuff throughout the week. I also found out I might just be fighting at the end of the year, and dude, I'm ready. It's just, promotion has different ideas for me, and I'm like, I just want to play. And it's a process, because for me and just general fighters, I just turned 32, so I'm not saying I don't have much more time left, but you never know. I've had multiple injuries in my late 20s, and maybe they come back. I believe obviously I bettered myself with it, and I'm healthy, and that's why I want to fight. But only having 2 fights a year isn't the funnest thing in the world. Especially for me having 2 straight losses. I'm like, hey man, I want to get back to it. I want to get there as soon as possible. Plus, I own my main income is fighting. So if I don't fight, dude, I'm just spending money training. I'm not training for free anymore. I'm technically losing money training because I have to recover, rehab, take care of myself, feed my people, and whatever the case may be. So it becomes a process. So I'm trying to switch things up, but it's been fun here. I'm actually taking care of my manager's pretty much house sitting, if you want to say. My manager's daughters are in the house, chilling with them, and I'm on like soccer mom duty. Pick one up from wrestling, took another one to her friend's house, and did this and did that. And after, like, can we get donuts? I'm like, fine, we can get donuts after this. So after this, we're grabbing some Danny's Donuts. So shout out Danny's Donuts. But and then after, we're gonna play some Nintendo Switch. I'm gonna hopefully win at Super Mario Party, and just kind of go from there.
Did you say Andy's or Denny's?
No, it's called Dandy's. So it's a mixture of both.
Oh, fuck. I heard about Dandy's. I haven't had it before.
So I mean, they're good donuts.
I'm trying to think. Is it the Dandy's or Randy's? There's some.
I have no clue.
In the States.
No clue.
There's this one. I know there's one. I think Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure, or California or something. And the only reason why I know about it, the first time I heard about it, I think Dana White did something with Randy's Donuts. It's something like Randy's Donuts or something. So when I heard it, I was like, huh, you're like this guy. No, I think there's this donut place. It's a big place. I mean, it's only in the United States, I'm pretty sure. It's like Randy's Donuts, something like that. And basically, this donut place, they have like very specialized like donuts and whatnot. I don't know, but it looks really, really good. So, real question is like, are you gonna get any donuts or?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I mean, technically, I don't have a fight now. Now I'm just kind of like, I'm trying my best not to be a jackass. But the fact is, like, I get to rarely hang out with them. I lived with these girls for about 4 years, so playing with them, I've always been like their big brother. So they're like, oh, let's get some donuts, let's get snacks, let's go do this, do that, and I'm only here for a couple days. Technically, I leave tomorrow afternoon or early evening, so I'm just like, man, let me just take them out. If they have a sugar rush, they have a sugar rush. It's 1 day, 2 days, and just enjoy my time with them. Especially dad's gone. I was like, dude, let's just have fun, be free. No one's yelling at us. We can stay up as long as we want. They're still in summer camp or out of school if you want to say. So they start school again on Monday. So they're trying to have as much. They're trying to be as free as possible before school starts up again. And yeah, we've been doing it. So they're like pretty much almost 14 and 16 years old. They're 13 and 15, and I think I've been with them since they were like 7 and 9.
Okay.
So this is almost kind of like a tradition. Like Shorty's here, let's be fat. I'm like, I got you. So yeah, man, I just take them out and we have a good time.
Yeah, you know what are you a big donut guy or?
I wouldn't say I'm a big donut guy, but I am a. So funny story. I'm not gonna say the name of the place because I don't want to make them look bad. But I'm a decently good donut guy, especially sweets, just in general sweets. And
Yeah.
I was doing food reviews a little bit after COVID and during COVID as well. And I was like, hey man, I'll go to your place and post your spot on my story, but just let you know I'm gonna give an honest review. So I buy all these donuts, and he goes, "Oh, you got to try this cinnamon roll donut. And you got to try this, whatever cereal donut, and this and that." I'm like, "I first want the glazed donut, and then I'll grab the other ones." And he's like, "Why just the glazed?" I'm like, "Dude, if you can't master the glazed donut, it's like having a pizza. You got to have the cheese pizza first, because if you can't master
Yeah.
the cheese, then I'm not gonna like
Yeah.
pepperoni. I'm not gonna like whatever toppings you get on it because I want to taste the actual donut itself. And then after that, let's do whatever." And
Mhm.
I gave the donut like a 6. I was like, it's just real thick. It's not fluffy. It's kind of like in between a coffee donut, the ones you have to dip to make them soft, and to a regular donut. I was like, it just feels like you need to microwave it or whatever the case may be. I don't fucking
Yeah,
make donuts.
yeah.
And so I tried the other donuts, but it only got worse because it was like over toppings on already an donut. And
Yeah.
dude, I gave him a bad review, and I was like, hey man, I just want to let you know, like, this is what I recommend if you can. And they unfollowed me, like flicked me off, all that stuff, and it was like, I'm just being real with you, dude. Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole. And, I left. They were just mad I didn't give a
Yeah.
good review.
Yeah.
6 months later, they closed down. So,
Well, and the thing is, so if I were to do a review, and I was thinking about doing this, like I talked with the boys at MMA, and I know we're an MMA channel, but when this happens, you like to kind of venture off and do different things because people like watching different shit and into fetishes and whatever you want, whatever you want to get into. But I was always wondering about doing like food reviews or like donut reviews or things like that people can kind of relate to that because donuts are it's a big thing that you can go to different donut shops and they all can be obviously they're all going to be different, right? And I've always thought about doing that. But I feel like if you were to do it, like you got to be honest. That's a part of doing a review. I guess for me, if I were to what MMA topics are you all discussing today? Well, you'll find out, son. Um, yeah, so we were or sorry, I got lost my train of thought. So like
ADHD
with
moment. I
donut
get it.
I get it because someone comments and I'm like reading it and squirrel, right? But yeah,
Hmm.
so with donuts, like if you're gonna do a review, I'm obviously not gonna be that kind of guy that's gonna say, and if I didn't like it, I'm not gonna be like, well, this tastes like shit. No, you gotta be respectful, right? But at the same time, I'm not gonna bullshit just the fact that you could ask me to come do a review. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, like for example, I remember it was the most like again because I don't like confrontation, right? Like I guess like I'll be honest, like I'm not scared to size up to anybody, but like I still don't like confrontation. I try to be kind of nice and whatnot, but I went to this one place and the waiter, it was just the waiter. So I was like, they're just doing their job. They just wait. But it was actually like he was also like the owner of the joint. And he's like, hey, so how's your food? I'm like, and I didn't really like it. And it wasn't that it wasn't cooked well or nothing like that. I'm sure it was done well. I just didn't prefer it. And I said, it's good. And he's like, no, seriously. I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I wasn't a big fan of it, but I'm sure it's probably very good. A lot of other people like it. And he gave me that kind of look like, and I'm like,
Hmm.
well, yeah. Like, what do you want me to do? Bullshit you, or you want me or you want me to tell you the truth? I'm gonna tell you the truth. And I think like, but if you're a good business owner, you gotta accept that people are gonna have their opinions, and sometimes you gotta accept when people just don't like things.
So, random question. Since somebody asked about what MMA topic are we talking about, who would you rather be locked in the cage with? All right, in
Okay.
their prime,
Oh God.
Francis Ngannou in his prime, or Alistair Overeem as Ubereem.
Um, and how much money am I getting paid?
I would just whatever the case may be. You have 5 minutes to survive. It could be billion. I don't care. As much money as you can possibly think
Okay.
of. But who do
Um,
you think you have a better chance at surviving from, or maybe even quote unquote beating in 5 minutes?
I'd probably go with Francis Ngannou. And they would have to pay me like $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would ultimately, as much as he's gotten better with his wrestling, I would probably just like shoot for my life, just grab a hold of a tree trunk of his leg and just hang on for dear life. And hopefully he doesn't cut me in the head. Worst case scenario, he knocks me out, then it's all good. Oh, wait, no, you said you had to survive 5 minutes, right?
Oh, if who do you think you have a better chance of surviving? But
Oh
it's
shit, yeah.
I also relate this question. I also relate it to this question. What would you rather fight, a bear or a gorilla? Like, no matter
A
what,
bear.
you're fucked.
Yeah,
But
no, that's not even fair. That's not a fair question. They both
I've
fucking
I
kill you.
yeah, so I so that's what I think. Like Franz Ngannou and Uberim, especially as Uberim, you're fucked. But I think Uberim is a gorilla, and I would be terrified of that because, dude, yeah, a bear can claw you, it's stronger than you, it can toy with you, all that
Yeah.
stuff. But dude, a gorilla can punch you. It could hell, worse is the worst, it can even have fun with you. It could tickle you. It could pull you apart. It could throw you. It could climb up stuff. It could like really fast, more faster than a bear. It could run after you. It could it could bite you. It could do so many different things. Like I think a gorilla is so much more terrifying, and a bear, worse is the worst. I'm not saying I can beat a bear up, but I feel like I can find my way around it and survive just a little bit longer. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that I guess that's true. And man, you gotta think like those fucking gorillas, man, like those chimps, they are like I would say they are the perfect killing machine in terms of intelligence, what they can use pretty much everything. They can bite, they can just I think just their the strength that they have in their hands just whacking you. They whack you enough, like give you a couple Stockton slaps in the head, you're
Mm-hmm.
done, like and like you got other animals like bears, of course, can kill you. I mean, it doesn't take much for them. They got a lot of weight and strength. But chimps, man, like I think people underestimate chimps. Like, I mean, the average chimp, yeah, they're probably friendly. Like you see those people that like have the chimps as like babies
As
and they
pets,
raise
yeah.
them, and, like kind of like pets. And those ones, I'm sure, are probably pretty predictable, but they are still animals. But chimpanzees, man, I've been watching a lot of these videos lately on them, and it's like these champs, man, they're fucking vicious. They slap you, they can punch, like you were saying, they slap, punch, bite you, they fucking tear you apart. It's crazy. It's crazy, like these animals, and people are so blind, like oh, they're so cute, they're just little chimpanzees. Like no, like once they become adults, they're like grown men times four, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What's a hot topic in MMA right now?
Well, I don't know if you heard about this, but oh no, I think we talked about it a little bit with Mokaev getting cut from the UFC. Or not, he didn't
Mhm.
like not cut. He just didn't get
Resigned.
get re-signed. Yeah. Um, I know we kind of touched upon it last night when we had Gabe on, but I thought more about it today, and I I'm kind of frustrated because the guy was like sixth ranked. He was gonna be fifth ranked. Who knows where his game could have gone? You know, like he was right there too. Like he
At
wasn't some
23 years
guy.
old as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was so fucking close. Um, it just sucks, man. Like it sucks that it is what it is. And I thought, okay, if he doesn't get back, if he doesn't go to the UFC again, I was hoping that the PFL was gonna pick him up. And now that the PFL isn't picking him up, it's like, dude, like the guy's young. Where's he gonna go? You know,
Hmm.
and the only thing I don't like, and I might get shit for this, but I don't like with how political the UFC has gotten with everything. It's like, what disturbs me though is that you have a guy like Muhammad Makayev who Yeah, he had altercation with Manel Kempe and whatever. But then you got guys like Connor, and again, and Connor did a lot for the company. I respect that, but after all the crap that Connor's done, I mean, even guys like John Jones has done, and I still respect those guys as fighters. Don't get me wrong, but after everything that they've done, it disturbs me that after everything they've done, and like, I mean, the guy like Connor threw a fucking dolly the bus, and if he had done that at some random bus and it was like planned and the UFC was
Mhm.
down with it and just to sell the fight and Khabib was on board, cool. Or like it's cool when you get two guys that yap in the hallway and they get in a little altercation and the UFC knows about it and they're like, okay, yeah, let him go. He'll sell the fight, whatever. That's cool. But I mean, when you throw a dolly at the bus and there's people getting hurt, I mean, it wasn't just he threw a dolly at a bus and had a little tantrum. No, like he hurt. Like I think Michael Chiesa got hurt. Like he got cut up.
Mhm.
Like he scared the crap out of Thug Rose. Like it wasn't just a little tantrum. Then you slam your door to your room. Like he fucking hurt people. And the UFC kind of like, okay, they were not happy, but it was just like, okay. And months later, and him and Khabib
We're
fight, and
gonna
they
use it to
sold that.
promote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we used it to promote. Like that just part of me didn't feel good about that. And then, and I think Connor really lost a lot of fans after that. Like he lost a lot of people and um it's crazy that he's still coming back to the UFC after everything. So
Well,
that's
you
my
look
take.
at you look at even that whole situation with him and Khabib. Like he throws a
Yeah.
dolly at the bus, but Khabib, when his friends, which wasn't him, his friends came in and punched all Connor and was starting to fight. Like, yeah, cool. They blamed it on Khabib. They blamed it on his team, and they were trying to cut him. But like, there was no ramifications for Connor. It's like, oh, he threw a dolly at the bus. They're a little scared. That's it. But with Khabib, they were ready to cut his whole team. They were ready to take fines and all that stuff. So like, it was very one sided.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
you look at Masvidal, Leon Edwards. Masvidal just walked up to him and gave what was that he got famous off the 3-piece in the soda. You
Three
know,
pieces of soda.
you got Nate Diaz randomly choking people out in the street. You have all these different fighters. Hell, and it's not even trying to throw people under the bus, but it's like Jocelyn Edwards versus Eileen Perez fighting at the UFCPI. Like this isn't the first fight. They're not the first fight. Mano and Mokaev aren't the first fight, and they're not going to be the last fight to fight at the
Yeah.
PI or outside the street. But again, I'm a firm believer of everyone should be treated the same. I was obviously biased out when it came to the flyweight division. Like I was the first one to be cut, and so when
Yeah.
I got released, I was like, dude, they're cutting everybody. Like if you're gonna cut me and I have this resume at the time, like Muhammad Mokaev, obviously I lost one. It's like, dude, I did the promotion favors by taking 2 last-minute fights in 2 months. Then they cut me. It's like I heard this was a good thing. They'll give you a favor back, but I got fucked over. But it's also
Yeah.
because they're in the flyweight division. If Mokaev was in any other division, I said the same for me with my career when I was at the hype at that time. If I was any other division, dude, I would have been signed in a heartbeat. I would have been like, oh, like I have offers from other promotions. I'm negotiating this, that. But because I was a flyweight, it doesn't matter. Like no
Yeah.
one really cared. And even still today, like no one's a fan of, and I'm not saying again disrespectfully, no one's a fan of Pantoja. I think he's a phenomenal fighter, a great grappler, but for
Oh,
the UFC, he's
100%.
not super exciting. Yes, he was a main event in Brazil, and obviously they tried that. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even know if the pay-per-view numbers ever even came out for that event, but he did well. He won the fight,
Yeah.
but it was also against number 10. So I think his name is Steve Urshad. It's like,
Yes, Steve
dude,
Erceg. And arguably so.
Mokaev, yeah.
A lot of people thought he
Mokaev
won
was
the fight too.
next. Yeah, and even with that, it's like Mokaev was waiting. Manel Cape was waiting. What happened to those guys? Why didn't you hit them up first? You had Mateus Nicolau. Technically, Alex Perez was waiting as well. So,
Yeah,
given he already
100%.
lost twice, but
Yeah.
the fact is, like, you had fighters, and it's like they only went with Steve just because his last fight was the knockout. The rest of the guys didn't have a finish their last bout, so they needed something to promote and go, hey, we want this guy. That's why they have the Japanese fighter, I can't remember his name, sadly, that beat Alex Perez by the injury. They were going to give him the title shot. Now he's fighting Brandon Royval, which I believe is a very, very fair fight. But in general, like, they're just trying to find whoever's exciting to bring them up. Whoever just got to finish, they're trying to bring up, and I get it. They're trying to save the division. It's not like they're not. But it takes two to tango, man. It's really hard to obviously get finishes in every fight. I know that from experience. Obviously we're always trying to go for it. It's just sometimes not going to happen. But the fact is, it takes two to tango. Look at Demetrius Johnson when he was in the UFC, dude. I think he defended the belt 11 times, like, or
13
at least 10 times. Yeah, whatever the case may be. Like, dude, he's the best champion in UFC's history. No one ever mentions his name. Why? It's not because his competition wasn't good. No, dude, they were great. And I know from experience, I pretty much sparred with all those guys. Ray Borg is hard to suplex an armbar. Trust me. He just, the DJ is just that good that he kind of dumbed down the division a little bit. It's like when Anderson Silva was dominating everybody. They're like, dude,
Yeah.
you already ran through everyone. Just bump up. Like, fight John Jones, fight GSP, fight
Yeah.
whoever, So they're trying to always find a little excuse. I think it takes two to tango. Again, Demetrius Johnson had his fair share of finishes. Again, flying armbar to or suplex to an armbar, but you also need to promote him. So DJ tried his best, but he can only again do 50%. You gotta give out that other 50% to make it whole. And sadly, whoever's the champion again, Pantoja, I think he's a great champion, but he's not the most exciting fighter. The general fan knows stand up. They don't know much jiu-jitsu unless you're an MMA fighter like me or an everyday fan. So it becomes a little difficult for the promotion to highlight this, and also worth paying these guys that much money to keep them around if they're quote unquote not as exciting as the UFC wants them to be.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the fight with Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards, because when I watched the fight, so I had a buddy of mine, and he's like, yeah, he's watched some fights, but even him, like, I was getting him excited because I was like, I got excited just because I'm watching Bilal fight the fight, and I know I understand fighting, and maybe I'm not I don't train all the time, but for me, I can watch it and I can understand what what Bilal was doing, and the way he would throw a couple strikes, and that's his whole game plan: throw a couple strikes, and then that sets up the takedowns. And I mean, he did the greatest thing. He's doing a bunch of high crotch throws, like, it was good. And for the casual fan, they're like, "Oh, that's boring. He's just throw." I'm like, dude, he was like piecing Leon up, like, not hard hits, but he was out striking him at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and he did the perfect game plan. And for me, I don't know about anybody else, but I actually got very well. I got one. I got excited because I really wanted to see. I really want to see him win. No disrespect to Leon, but Bilal is the kind of guy I've been watching for a long time. Actually, interesting enough, he was supposed to fight my hometown boy, Chad Priest, when he was in the UFC, but I think that fight fell through, or somebody had to pull out, or something happened. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I know that fight was supposed to happen. Yeah, he's been a guy I've been watching, and he just kind of slowly creeps up on that division there, and he worked his way up like a true contender, and he finally won it, and he just did what he had to do. And I don't think, like, it wasn't like he just sat on the guy and did nothing. Like, you could tell he was trying to, like, even in the, I think, second round or third, maybe fourth round, where he was just, I don't know if he just couldn't get his neck, but he was like kind of putting pressure, and then he let him go to make Leon work for it. And you could just tell by the fourth round, Leon's face. You look at him, and he just didn't. He looked like he was mentally defeated right there. And I don't know if that's Leon's kryptonite. He mentally deflates when he starts
Mm-hmm.
getting outworked and outbeaten. It's almost like that mental break that he can't get through. Like, I mean, look at his coach during the fight in the fourth round, or after the fourth round, he's like screaming. I'm like, let's go. Like, do I need to yell at you again? Like, come on, let's go. And yeah, like, that being said, like, if it just sucks that because a casual fan, all they want to see is, the first 30 seconds someone gets knocked out unconscious. Don't get me wrong, those are nice knockouts, but, like, I think the problem is, yeah, like, it's just not marketable. Like, everybody just wants to see, like, a Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway stand there and just start throwing bombs, which, again, that is exciting, but at the same time, like, if you don't understand fighting, I get that from a casual perspective, but for someone that watches it and understands and can kind of read what they're doing on the ground or whatever, I think it's awesome. And I thought it was still a great performance by Bilal, but you can kind of tell from Dana White's face and the rest of the UFC the
He
disrespect that they
looked
keep throwing on
pissed.
Bilal. Yeah, he looked pissed, but and then after they said, like, "Oh, well, why are you not happy that it was something like?" Yeah, they asked Dana White a couple days later. "Well, it seems like you don't like Bilal." He's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I like Bilal." It's like, bro, don't stop telling us lies. Like, I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's he doesn't like Bilal. I don't think he was happy that he won the belt, because now it's, I don't think it's a I don't think it's so much he doesn't like Bilal. It's hard for Dana White to market him, and I think that's the problem. It makes his job a lot harder. But that's what you get paid to do, man. It's your job to try and market fighters if they're not as marketable. Like
I Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help. I mean, I know out there they also didn't allow people to walk out with their flags, which made it hard for Bilal because it was Palestinian. With everything happening in Gaza right now, like this was a fight for not just himself but for his people. He is the shining light for his people, at least in the MMA world. So for him to win, it's a huge thing. And when you have the UFC, trying to promote what something or someone that's obviously involved in this thing that's happening right now, becomes difficult for a business to do, because again, it's a double-sided thing. Whatever way you look at it, I have my point of views, other people have their point of views, and we're not going to get into it. But the fact is, it's hard to promote not just someone like that, but someone who really believes in that stuff. And it's hard because he's a champion. Like, you can't deny him anymore. Like, he fought and beat everyone on the way up for the most part, and then dominates the champion, wins. What's next? Like, yeah, I have easy picks of who's next, which it should not at all be Kobe. And again, I love Kobe Covington, but dude, you're 0-3 in title fights. Like, you got to get back to it, and then go from there. I get it. You're making your shots, and it's all a social media game, and it's all business. But I can't remember the Asian guy's name. It's like Eastern Asian, Eastern Russian, or part of that area, Tajikistan, Turkestan, the guy who's going to fight Bilal next, more likely, that everyone's avoiding. But with that being said,
yeah, I know
yeah, I
who
don't
you're
know his
saying.
name. But with that being said, like, that should be the guy that's next. I think it's going to be a very tough fight for Bilal, but he shines at the toughest moments, and he's always been in his whole career. Again, I've been with him in Titan. I have grown up with him in Chicago in the MMA world, in the community, and I've trained with him, man. He's a hard worker. Like, he doesn't mind losing in the gym because he's learning. Like, that's his mindset. He goes, yeah, I want to win, obviously, but I'm learning. That's all that matters. Hell, him and I roll, and he's like, cool, I just won't put my weight and we'll have some fun. I'm like, yeah, cool. Then I'll put him in positions. He goes, oh, dude, how'd you do that? And he'll ask questions, and then vice versa. Like, he'll do stuff with me. I'm like, dude, I didn't feel anything. Like, how'd you do that? So it's a cool learning experience. And I think Bilal
Mm-hmm.
is you have to promote him in a very, very different way. Again, I don't know how. I'm not a promoter, but the fact is, let the man speak. Let him do what he does best. And I mean, he's getting a lot of leverage because of this now, and he can make the choices at that division. I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what's next for him. I'll I guess we'll see how fast they bring him back inside the cage, because I don't believe he's injured whatsoever from the last fight, besides maybe a good cut on his nose. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what happens next. But I believe, knowing the UFC, they'll probably want him to fight as soon as possible, so they can
Oh
try
yeah,
to, promote this next fight or promote another champion, if that, so happens to be.
yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen, and I really like the fact that not only did he win the belt, but he won the belt, and I think you brought this up last night. um, that he brought up, like, that he wins the belt at, like, what, 36 years old. So as you were saying, it almost gives other guys maybe in the division or in any promotion, showing that, hey, you can still, like, and the thing is too, like, he looked good. Like, it wasn't like he
Mhm.
looked 36. He looked really, and I'm not trying to say guys at 36 look old, but it's just, age catches up to you, and he looked great. And but also, if you watch him fight, yeah, maybe he doesn't always put on the most exciting fights, but he's not getting knocked out every fight, or he's not going into he's not standing and trading with guys. So his longevity might be longer than some of these other guys, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't really had any bad weight cuts. So, like, as far as I know, like, yeah, he should be, if he's looking good at 36, I think he can keep going until, we say otherwise. But that being said, another fighter I was thinking about was I don't know how much you watch with the PFL, whenever, but this girl Dakota Detreva, I gotta say, she's trained
I
over
saw I
at
saw the knee. That's all I know of.
yeah. So this girl, we've been following her since she was in the PFL Europe before she got into the regular PFL season, and she is she is freaking good. She's just getting better and better. But besides her skill and everything she does, and I think she's like 12-0 right now. Besides the fighting, everything going on, and how the PFL is like promoting her, because she's basically one of their new female stars. Let's be honest. Um, I really like they asked her a question about so like pretty much in a nutshell, it was, like you're getting all this hype, you're doing so well. Like how do you deal with all that, considering that, people are telling you, "Oh, you're awesome, like you're probably the best right now." She says, "Yeah, I hear it, but it's just noise for me because I just look at it like I know there's things I have to continue to work on, and that's what I just focus on knowing that I'm not perfect." Like basically that's what I can't remember word for word, but it was pretty much like I know I'm not perfect and I don't care about I don't care about that. Like really. Like for me, I know I'm not perfect and I have to continue to get better and better. Because if you start just drinking your own Kool-Aid, if you think that you're the hot shit and no one can beat you, which I mean, ideally, every fight you go into, you have the mindset that you're a better fighter and you can win the fight. But the fact that she's not letting that stardom get to herself, and she just says, "You know what? I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the next fight." Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, you can't get caught up with what the media tells you. I mean, yeah, sure, she can look and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm doing really good," but that all can change in one fight. So I think it's really cool. I like the way she carries herself, and I think that's what I really like about her as well. And I think she's got a bright future ahead of her. But she's going to be fighting Talia Santos, who's also wicked good too. So we're going to see in the championship in November, I think.
It's a very proper mindset because
Hmm.
at least for me, when I was going from amateur to pro, I was 25-1 with 25 straight wins. So I had all these interviews, and everyone's hyping me up. I'm the first ever two-time world champ, and Mokai was the second. Following myself, and then obviously I think there was a guy after that took 3 world championships. I'm like, dude, you're killing it. Good for you. But the fact is, I had so much hype under me because it never was done before that people were making me the favorite. And I'm like, okay, cool, but I'm so used to being the underdog. So when everyone's making me the favorite, they're blowing steam in my head, and I'm like, yeah, I'm awesome. And then there was that one side of like, oh, but dude, what if I lose? Oh my gosh, then am I disappointment? Because there's all this hype, this happens, that happens, whatever the case may be. And the mindset that she has, I believe, is the perfect type of mindset because there's too nervous where you freeze up and do nothing. Whatever your biggest fear is, you're gonna let it happen. Or there's not nervous at all and you're just careless. And that's happened to me as well, where you just take a bunch of shots because you're like, this guy has pillow hands, but dude, even pillow hands can eventually knock you out. And so you have to have that little middle ground where it's like, I should have confidence in myself and the ability and the things I can do, but I also need to be cautious because I know how dangerous this person is in front of me. And if I don't act right or even perform correctly, whatever my biggest fear is might and can happen. So I need to go at my best, and it's that perfect middle ground. I think that's exactly where she's at, and I think it's Talia Santos, man. She's awesome, and I think she made a great decision going from the UFC to the PFL. I believe she's getting paid more. Obviously, she has that chance for the $1 million at the end of the year, and it's nothing but up for her just because she's also young as well.
Yeah, and that's what I really liked about the UF or excuse me, but the PFL is you got a lot of fighters who maybe never got the title, but a really good example. And I know he retired like 2 years ago, and Sean O'Connell
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
O'Connor is something O'Connell or Connor. I feel like I'm talking about the
yeah.
character from The Mummy, but yeah, Sean O'Connor, Connell, whatever. And he never got to the UFC title, but
He was the one with the funny
he put on good
weigh-ins.
fights. But yeah, he was that guy. He was that funny guy at the weigh-ins, and that's what he was known
Mhm.
for. And he put on good fights too. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed watching him fight. And then he shoots over the PFL, wins $1 million, gets a belt. It's like that's the possibilities, and that's what I love about the PFL tournament is that you don't have to be a former champion in other promotions. It helps, but it's every fight is different, and it's a new fight every single time. So if you get in the
Mhm.
playoffs, the stakes are high, and if you win, you go on to the championship. If you lose, that's it.
Yep.
And you might get put on a separate card, like how we were talking with Alex. But yeah, it's really cool how anything can happen. Like, yeah, I mean, if you look at this fighter and this fighter, and you want to put the bets, you're gonna bet more maybe on this guy or this guy. But it's cool how even a guy like him, who I never not disrespect him, but I never would have thought that this guy's gonna go to the PFL and he's gonna go and
Hmm.
he's gonna win the belt and he's gonna get $1 million. And look at this guy now. He's set. He retired and now I think he's doing like the
He's the
broadcasting.
main.
I think.
Yeah, he's the main. I believe. I don't know if he's color or play by play, but he's one of the commentators, and he's inside the cage interviewing the fighters. He's the fighter that every fighter after their career is over wants to be. You know, they want to be inside the cage. They want to commentate. They want to interview fighters. So he's on another level with that, and he's doing the film study like Dominic Cruz and Michael Bisping do, you know, in the
Yeah.
UFC. So another guy that I like to bring up is Bilal Muhammad's coach, Lewis Taylor. We talked about him yesterday.
Yeah.
Like no one really knew much about him. You know, local Chicago scene, blew up, great record. Obviously got older in his career and was kind of like slowly, I won, lost, whatever the case may be. But because
Hmm.
of his age, the UFC didn't want him. And
Yeah.
then the PFL came to be, and he's like, dude, I got this amazing resume, but no one's taking me. And he took
Yeah.
the risk. Again, I don't know his pay grade, but I think he got paid decently low because no one knew his name. Even though he had the record to compete physically with everyone else, it didn't matter when you're older, and your career is already, in a sense, past its prime. And I don't know where he becomes the first ever, I can't remember what weight, I believe it was middleweight, but the middleweight champion. And he wins, and it's just like, oh my gosh, dude, you're a millionaire, especially from the hood. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, congratulations, I'm very happy for
Yeah.
you. And then slowly Bilal Muhammad becomes a champion as well. But the next
Hmm.
year they didn't have the weight class anymore, so he ended up just retiring. He's like, I'm not going to waste another year of my life doing this. I might as well start coaching. I'm good with the money for now, and I'll figure out some stuff investment wise. But dude, it's crazy. Look at Masvidal. Masvidal was famous as well, or I mean, he was popular, but then he does the Ben Askren flying knee, and it's like, oh, dude, he blew up. Then after that, he has a name for himself, So later on in your career, you could always still make something of yourself. It might not be as early as you want it to be, but the fact is, one fight can change your life, and that's the phenomenal thing. Whether it's UFC, Bellator, PFL, Brave, whatever the case may be, but I think I've talked to Ray Selfa before, and I've talked to a lot of the people who work with Brave. Dude, I know even myself. I messaged PFL. I was like, "Hey, when are you guys going to do a bantamweight division in the States, the big tournament? Like, I'd love to be a part of it because who doesn't want $1 million? And I'd love to fight the
Fuck
other
yeah.
phenomenal bantamweights that were in Bellator because I know a lot of them are going to be on that." And I know they talked about the PFL European series and eventually the Arabic series and all that stuff, or Middle Eastern series. But the fact is, dude, it's so jam packed. Well, how many people they have asking that are from the UFC, that are from other promotions, even
Oh
still
yeah.
in their contract, like they said Muhammad Mokaev apparently was doing, which makes no fucking sense because Mokaev was or he still is a flyweight. The PFL never even mentioned flyweight. They barely even have
Yeah.
bantamweight. That's only in Bellator. They don't have bantamweight in the in the
Yeah.
season. So even if you wanted to bump up, they don't have the division. I would know because I train with Patrick Mix. Like he would be
Yeah.
in that PFL season. But with that being said, like all these people want to join the PFL because you might make so and so money, but you're probably going to make the typical 10-10 like the UFC, but you have so much more to gain if you make the playoffs, and then you have so much more to gain obviously if you win the $1 million. Because dude,
Yeah.
I know multiple fighters. I've had 42 MMA fights. 15 of that I think pro, and it's like 15 or 16 of that pro. I haven't made anywhere close to $1 million. Like not even $500,000. So with the fact of that being said, it's like, yeah, dude, what was it, 4 fights total in the PFL to win the $1 million? Like that would be fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. And that being said, so you're still with Brave. Like, would they be cool if you at PFL reached in and say, hey, you know what, Shorty, we got a spot for you. We're gonna do the bantamweights. We're gonna offer you something. Would they have to talk to Brave, or what would
In
happen?
all technicality, they would have to talk to Brave, but I would also do it with my manager personally. And because I know
Mhm.
they've had Brave champions move over to the PFL because, I mean, no offense, I don't believe we have a UFC contract clause unless your contract is specifically like has a contract clause like other promotions do. But that's more of a regional thing. Bigger promotions,
Yeah.
Brave, Ryzen, One, PFL, Bellator, we don't have contract clauses. Like we just want to make it to where we're at now, and hopefully become champion.
Yeah.
But with that being said, a lot of the fighters from Brave, it's still a smaller promotion compared to these other promotions. It's a very big one, but it's still localized mainly in the Middle East. Like, yes, it's gone to South America, it's gone to
Hmm.
Africa, it's gone to Asia, but and Europe as well. But it's mainly still known for a Middle Eastern promotion. And slowly, hopefully, it'll open up its doors a little more and welcome in a lot of different fighters. And hopefully, one day in the States, and they'll be widely more recognized. But the fact is, these fighters want to fight named opponents. That's something I do personally complain about. Is Brave has phenomenal opponents. Hell, I lost my last 2 fights to the same guy. He is a phenomenal guy, but there's no benefit for me because he doesn't have a name. Doesn't mean he's not good. He just doesn't have a name yet. Yeah, he beat me and
Yeah.
might grow from there, but if you don't fight people with names, like that's hard to build a legacy. So, like for example, Amir Abazi, when I beat him, he didn't really beat anyone good that I knew of. I beat him, cool, and then now he's ranked number 3. So again, doesn't mean that these guys aren't good. It's just they haven't fought these personal names yet. Anyways, guys at Brave want to fight people with names and obviously a chance at $1 million. That's amazing. So, Brave understands it, and plus it makes them look better and going, hey, if we have a Brave champion go over to the PFL and win their tournament, then dude, it makes us look better because we hold one of the best fighters in the world in our
Yeah,
promotion.
for sure.
And then when your season's over, whenever it may be after the first fight, second fight, playoff fight, or in the finals, come on back and we'll promote the hell out of you, taking advantage of what the PFL has been able to do, promoting you as well. So
Yeah,
I think it's a win-win for Brave. Even if the guys lose, it's like, you know what, man, the PFL promoted you. Hopefully your name got boasted up a little more, and it would bring back to Brave and see what happens from there.
for sure. We got a comment, Corey Dillon. The PFL fighters tee off on each other in the pre-fight hype ups. It's crazy violent with the sucker punches. I don't know about PFL. I don't know if I've seen anything like that in the PFL, Corey. Uh, I mean, definitely in the UFC, you see that crap all the time. You'll get, you know, what's funny? I find the matchups that you don't really hear much about, like, so say you have a random card. So I think the card this week is Marcin Tabora and Sergey Spivak. And I actually just interviewed Marcin Tabora. And on that card, you could have the main event and all is good. And you could have some random matchup in like the beginning of the card. And no disrespect to the guys, but like maybe nobody really knows who those guys are because it's their first fight or they're replacing somebody or they just signed the contract, and for whatever reason, nobody knows why, but there's some bullshit, and they start throwing hands on the stage. Like I find those kind of like those matchups funny because you don't know anything about the matchup. You don't know why there's a why there's the bad blood or whatever, or just the competitions, the heat of the moment. Both guys are cutting weight or whatever, and some guy looks at the guy the wrong way, or whatever happens. But I find that funny because when you have like the main events or whatever, usually the cameras are following them around, and you'll see like kind of like that. You see what's going on. Like some guy will yap to him on social media, and then the other guy gets on, and then you see him get into person and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I never seen that in the PFL per se.
Mhm.
Maybe there might have been a couple times where guys were doing their media and maybe it was just selling the fight. Maybe the guy shoved the guy, but I never really see anything like that. Most of the fighters have been pretty professional. And of course I'm not doubting that there's a little bit of a competition for sure. I mean, you're fighting another person, you're fighting to get your spot. So, I mean, I think there's yeah, for sure. There's competition and it is what it is, but um yeah, I don't know. I've never seen that, but yeah, Corey. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, man, but that's cool. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
for
I haven't seen any scraps, not that I know of.
no,
So
no. But for people watching, I know we had like 4 or 5 people in here, but anybody has any comments, shoot them down, and I'll try to get to them while we're shooting the shit here. But
yeah, no,
yeah,
sorry. I I'm trying to think. Hmm. I know the outside scraps. These are older gentlemen trying to get into boxing fights. The Nate Diaz, Masvidal, but I don't see that in other promotions. Bellator, I guess James Gallagher talks to smack, but that's just his natural style, kind of as an imitation Conor McGregor. Um, but
yeah,
with these other guys, I don't. There's not many people outside of the UFC that do that. It's not a natural thing because again, like for most of us, I could be wrong, but at least for myself, most of the fighters that I know, there's no animosity. Like, yeah, we might not like you until we fight you, but that's also because, dude, I gotta fight you right now. Like, I don't want to like you. You're cool. That's awesome. I'm glad I can be friends with you, but I don't want to like you right now until after the fight. Just because if I like you in any sort of way, like, dude, it's just business. I'm not trying to make it personal, you know? And then after that, but dude, I bet you're awesome. I bet you're great. We could have a shared drink, whatever the case may be. But um, some people take it too far. And I think Patty talked about it too. It's like, dude, why is somebody talking about somebody's kid or deceased relative or what is like, no, man. And there's some people who go past the line, and I personally believe those people definitely need to be checked. But for the most part, it's just regular smack talk, and it's just business for the fans. But the people who do that stuff outside of fighting are usually in the local regional promotions that are trying to make a name for themselves. And I personally am not a huge fan of it. I actually lose respect for a lot of fighters who do that because it's like, dude, you're falling into the whole social media norm. I get what you're trying to do, but you're not doing it the right way. You're not doing it the honorable way. But I'm a fighter that believes in the old values of good fighters who make it to the top, and it doesn't need to be a reality show.
Yeah. And speaking about the regional show, what I really like is watching some of these fighters go in the regional circuit, and it's hard because they may not get all the recognition. But like for example, there's a girl, she's in UFC, she's on like I think number 13, maybe 12, maybe I no, I think she's in the top 10. Unfortunately, it was Luby Godinez, and she fought Mackenzie Dern, unfortunately. And
Mhm.
man, I really thought she had that. I really thought she had that fight in that kind of matchup, but unfortunately, she came up short. But anyway, I remember her actually starting out in BTC fight. Like she's from, well, technically she's born in Mexico, uh, immigrated to Canada, but she fought in that promotion and then went to LFA. And I remember she had her fight with Vanessa Demopoulos,
Mhm.
and she did that fight and won that fight. And I mean, she got into war there, and then watching her going from there to signing a UFC contract and everything she's kind of gone through and the way she's worked herself up. Like, oh my God. Like for me, I actually enjoy watching fighters evolve that way, where they go from someone who wants to get to a bigger promotion one day and then they get there and you see them evolve and climb the ranks. I enjoy it. I think it's great and she's awesome. And I think she's still got a bright future ahead of her. Unfortunately, she came up short in her last fight and I was not expecting that, but it is what it is. And like for you, have you watched a particular fighter that maybe was in the regional circuit for a long time, and then you watch him or her, climb the rankings, get to a bigger promotion, just find that success?
That's Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, I grew up with them, so that's the craziest thing. Or hell, Johnny Eblin. I remember him just being a wrestler at American Top Team, and he was just helping Masvidal, and that was his main goal. He's like, "Yeah, I want to fight. I want to do this," and he was slowly fighting. Hell, Conan Silviero's son, Josh, like he's made it to the PFL finals. I believe last year. Given he lost, but dude, being able to make it that far, I think he was undefeated before that fight. It's like these guys are coming up. I was a roommate to you guys. Hell, even
Yeah,
Pantoja. Like I used to train with Pantoja. We would have a lot of fun. Brandon
yeah,
Moreno, same thing. And I'm just like, you guys are champions. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little upset. I'm jealous. Like I'm happy you guys got that success. Especially for all the people I've been able to train with to see how far they've gotten in their career. Sadly, at least for me, the hard part is opportunities come and go for different people at different times. And there's always reasons for it. You always got to find out why and whatever the case may be. And sometimes it's just not meant to be for some fighters, no matter how hard you try. But I know so many athletes that just pursue, even when their career visually is over, they just pursue. And again, you never know. Lewis Taylor, their career is already over. He's like, oh shit, PFL, fuck it. I'll do one more tournament. We'll see how it goes. You win $1 million later, dude. I want to do next year, And sadly, obviously, they didn't have his weight class, but stuff like that. Again, anything can change your life. So I think if you're, motivated enough, you keep on trying, man. You keep on doing it till the wheels fall off, and you go from there. But those fighters, man, it's just their will is different. Hell, even Patchy Mix. I didn't get to meet Patchy until I got to Extreme last year, but he knew about me because we trained at Extreme Couture, or not Extreme, Jackson Wink together. But I ended up getting there before I left before he got there. And literally right when I left, it's like I tagged him in and he got there. And they're like, oh, dude, you should have trained with Shorty and all that stuff. It's like, fuck, that would have been nice. And now we're training together. And he tells me all the stories of watching me, and he followed my path. Now he's doing more. I was like, dude, that's fucking inspiring. I'm happy for that. Or even Lazy Boy, Ronaldo, who's fighting at the spear. He loses, or excuse me, he fights at Lux. I see all the fan base he gets, and then his next fight, he's in the UFC. One fight in, he gains 500,000 followers, and then now he's fighting at the spear. It's like, dude, that's fucking awesome. You're 20 or 24 now, and you're selling little stuff on the street just to get by. And now you have 500,000 followers on Instagram, and now you're
Oh
fighting at the
yeah.
spear, the biggest event in the UFC's history. Like, that is phenomenal, dude.
And I think he's on the main event too.
Yeah, he got moved to the main event. I believe, I don't know where he is in the main event, but it was labeled first that he was the very first fight on the card. And now I believe he's like the fourth fight from last, or the opening on the main card. Regardless, dude, your second fight in the UFC, you're on the main card. And this is not someone that the UFC promoted, like Rojas, or Rosas, and all these different people that already had like semi names from the Contender Series, or they're related to a brother like Sergio with Anthony Pettis. This is a guy who literally came from working in the streets, selling Jello shots and food and drinks just to be able to get by, to making a debut. Kind of, I wouldn't say being forced, but told like, hey, we're not going to take you unless you go down to the flyweight division, because that's where we want you. He didn't make the flyweight division for I think 2 or 3 years. Does this crazy weight cut where I'm like, dude, I don't think he's gonna make weight. And this was like a month out. I thought he was gonna die on us. And he was the most motivated person in the world. He goes, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna make the weight. Like if I die in the hospital, like I tried making the weight. Doesn't matter. He makes the weight, and then he's about to knock his guy out, and he chokes him out. He gains 500,000 followers, and now he even called it. He goes, dude, I'm gonna fight the spear at the end of the year. I'm like, dude, I think you should stay ready. And out of nowhere, like a couple months later, he goes, guess what? I'm fighting at the spear. I was like, holy shit, okay, you're right. Like, good for you.
Let's fucking go. Yeah.
And now he's getting ready for that. So, it's crazy how much, again, a fight can change your life, and that one fight changed his. So it's that's one person where I'm like, it's inspired. That's another reason why I'm cutting down. Him and I are the same size.
All right. So before the guys I don't want to cut you off, but we had like a shitload of comments. These guys are having this thing. So we got Paradox to Chad says, Paradox to Chad raid. And then another guy, Brutally Honest MMA, says, from Paradox the Chad, you've been raided. I don't know. I gotta decrypt this shit. Paradox to Chad, where's Wesley? I don't know who the hell that is. Western Mass Climber says, get raided by Paradox to Chad. Paradox to Chad says, attaboy. Brutally Honest MMA, you guys better be chat readers. Well, sorry, we're shooting the shit, boy. Paradox Chad, they haven't read chat. Let's get.
I just want to say I can't read them at all. It's only this man who's doing it. So if I get rated, you gotta rate him first. You gotta rate him first. Just want to say that I'll be behind you. Just gotta go get him first.
And then Western Mass Climber says, did he say spear like Brutal used to? Like, are these guys fucking commenting on her video, or they like have their own little chat?
They're trolling, or hell, they might raid our Instagram. You never know. They might get us canceled.
Okay, so Brutally on. Okay, here's a real question. Ask Shorty thoughts on Alex Pereira. All right, Shorty, your thoughts on Alex Pereira, whatever that means.
Alex, the champion, Alex.
Potan, yeah.
Potan, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't even say a hater, but I expected him to lose when he got to the UFC. And out of nowhere, he's knocking practically everyone out. It's like somehow he didn't fight any wrestler. And obviously, whoever didn't try to take him down finally did get him down, but they weren't wrestlers. They were still primarily strikers. So that's why when they asked Curtis Blades or Tom Aspinall if Alex were to bump up, they're like, dude, we'd fuck him up. We'd just take him down. It'd be fine. So that's the crazy thing is he hasn't fought a wrestler, but I also can't hate on him because he's stopped takedowns. He's gotten taken down and gotten back up, and then he's knocked everyone out. So, dude, as much as I want to hate, I can't because he's a double weight class champion and even might technically even one day be a 3-weight class champion. So, good for you, especially as fast as you've grown in the UFC. And then obviously making memes of your fight like this. It's like, dude, I think he's phenomenal and very inspirational with the least amount of words possible.
All right. Well, and I think Brutally Honest MMA, they were asking the allegations on Alex. I think something happened. Some female fan said he was like inappropriately touching her. I think that's what it was. I've never seen something on social media today, but um, yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
I mean, hear me out. Hear me out. This now comes out, dude. Yeah, he's been famous for quite a while, but now obviously as famous as ever, especially with the last fight. The fact is, dude, how many people do you know that nothing has ever happened allegation wise, and then they get incredibly famous, and then out of nowhere there's allegations out of the woodworks. Oh no, he did this to me. Oh no, he did that to me. I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I'm saying I'm gonna need some proof besides just someone's word. A
Well,
lot of people, especially allegation wise, it just goes a long way.
well, the Paradox to Chad says there's rape allegations on Alex on Twitter right now. So I don't know. You know what?
I again, but that was the same thing with Kobe Bryant. That was the same thing with a bunch of different athletes, and it's like, eh, like I get why you got these specific people, but yeah, I'm not saying I don't believe it, and I'm not saying that person, it didn't happen to them or whatever the case may be, but I look at it this way. Alex Piero, especially right now, is one of the most famous people in the world. He's a tall, dark. I don't know if he's handsome, but he's a tall, dark guy that can probably get any woman he wants for the most part.
yeah,
Why does he possibly have to, do this to somebody? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that.
I
Especially
think
after the divorce, like he's having his fun, dude. Like let him do him, but not that. Like I
I
highly
think
doubt he did that.
I think Poton's banging Nina Drama, man.
If he is, dude, good for him. Like
Yeah, that's
he
what I'm
he's a
saying.
champ. Good
Good
for him.
call on our boy. Yeah. Oh, it's a good
So
call.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you know what though? That Nina Drama. I'm sure he probably isn't, and maybe he is. I don't know what goes on behind the cameras, but I think she does have like a boyfriend or husband
Yeah,
or
she's no,
whatever.
she's married. She's married. There's
Yeah,
Sean
no, I think
Strickland
she is
talks about
married.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, I'm not saying this in the open sense of like you're doing it or I'm doing it, but it's like a ring don't fucking mean shit to anyone. Like, especially here in the States, a ring don't mean shit. So the fact is, man, like it is what it is. So if
Well,
people are doing that, people are doing that. But this whole rape allegation, I personally don't believe it. But
yeah, yeah,
I'm still the mindset of you're innocent until proven guilty, compared to the whole
exactly.
mindset now that everyone's guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, and I guess Brutally Honest MMA says I met Nina last week. She is a sex pest. Uh, you know
Dude,
what the thing is?
I'm not gonna lie,
Well,
she's
hold on.
really hot.
She is good. She is good looking. However, when people put comments like, "Oh man, her Nina's husband's crying somewhere when she's doing all the videos with like with Poton or with Strickland." I mean, I'm sure she has really good rapport with them and all that, which some people you just click really well with, and I know she
Yeah.
probably does with someone like Sean Strickland, which is cool. Um, but in her defense, as a woman and selling, yeah, she wants to look good for the camera. She want for 100%. Like if that's what sells, that's what sells. Like I think she's still being completely professional, but she's got that's part of her kind of like her stick, right? Like that's what she's got to ask weird questions. Like I think she asked
What
geez.
what's that white girl that interviewed like Drake and all these other rappers, and then out of nowhere, after she interviewed Drake, like she ended up getting a divorce, and people were saying that's like she's having sex with all these like rappers or every person that she interviews now. Like she interviewed Chris Brown, Drake, all these people, and they like
I
I
don't
won't say
know,
they
man.
openly hit on her on the podcast, but they like have fun on the podcast and flirt and stuff like that. And after that, she ended up getting a divorce, and then apparently, again, rumors. But that's the thing, they're fucking rumors. Even if there are true, no offense, who the fuck cares? But everyone needs to mind their own business because curiosity killed the cat, and everyone's the cat just looking for any type of story to find.
And that's why, like, for me, if I'm ever in a situation where, I'm in a professional situation, or for example, if I'm ever interviewing female fighters or I'm in a situation where I'm with females, I'm very careful with how I address my questions. I'm very careful, like, for example, and I keep everything professional. I keep everything professional, no different than I was if I'm talking to male fighters. Of course, with with female fighters, you might ask questions differently depending on what it is. Like, of course, I would never ask a female fighter, "Hey, what do you weigh right now?" Nah, I just don't. And then I probably wouldn't ask a male fighter that either, unless it's in makes sense for the question, or
Hmm.
like, and also too, like, a really good example of someone that does this really really well is Keanu Reeves. I don't know if you know much about him, but Keanu Reeves, he a lot of pictures he's taken, a lot of the girls want their photos with
Yeah,
him, and that's fine,
he
that's what
does
girls want
he
to do.
does
He puts his
this or his
hands
hands down.
he puts his hands out, yeah, and that's such a gentleman thing to do too. But it also it's smart because it's showing that, hey, I'm showing respect. So when people see that in photos, so if I ever hear an allegation against Keanu Reeves, I'm gonna be like, bullshit.
Honestly, depending on the person, I'm kind of surprised that there aren't more allegations on different people. But that's
Yeah,
just because, again, you can, especially with today's culture, like again, you're guilty until proven innocent, and that's the
exactly.
really really shitty part about today's
Mhm.
society. People are sensitive. People are this. People are that. We're both millennials, dude. Like we had to deal with our shit. That was it, especially as men, So it's very different, but yeah, these are all rumors. From what I know, if they're true, who cares? Obviously, the rape allegation, that's a whole different thing. But,
Yeah.
with people hooking up with whoever, it's like, dude, just mind your business. I get you trying to make your life a little more exciting, but, ah, you know.
Yeah, and you know what though, and I really like someone like Sean Strickland. We threw his name out there a couple minutes ago. I When he fought in Toronto back in January against Duplessis, it was like, honestly, like, I mean, I wasn't surprised what he was gonna say, because he says whatever comes to his head. He's like,
Yeah.
he throws it out there and he says, "I don't give a shit. I'm gonna say what I want to say." But the way he roasted Trudeau, I was like, dude, you're my hero for about 10 minutes on the interview. Like, just roasting him, talking about, hey, better not freeze my bank accounts, and it was good. It was good. So I watched the event, and I had to, right? It was UFC Canada. I guess support my Canadians. And yeah, like, the whole crowd was saying like, fuck Trudeau the whole time. For like, there was about 4 or 5 sets through the
Mhm.
whole night, and the whole crowd's just saying F Trudeau, which I think that's kind of becoming a thing. Like, you go to any kind of event, concerts, fights, boxing fights, whatever, and there's always, like, people always use political things to bring up at events, which is it can be a good thing. You get the message across, and you want to put your agenda out there. But I loved it. It was great. I mean, Joe Rogan commented on it, because Joe Rogan also absolutely hates Trudeau, and he's vowed never to come to Canada, which sucks for me because I love to go see him. I love to see him on tour, but I guess I'm gonna have to go over the border there in Michigan or something like that.
Yeah,
But
it is what it is. Is there any questions on the messenger?
there isn't. But there was just a couple Paradox chat. I think that guy was just a trolling as fuck. But yeah, there was just the one about how Brilliance MMA said, "Yeah, I met Nina last week. She's a sex pest." Yeah, but yeah, like, I mean, I really like what she does. Um, but it's I think I would assume also too, like, I do like the fact that the UFC's really opened up, and have, because for the longest time you really just had the male journalists out there, and you had a lot of these, it was
It was
very
just
male
fighting,
dominated.
fighting, fighting, fighting,
Just
fighting.
fighting, oh god, adrenaline, oh, testosterone. But now you got like Laura Sanko. I mean, that's great. I don't know, for people that might not know her very well. She has fought before. Like, she knows her shit. And I think she had done, like, she covered the first event. She was like one of the broadcasters, or what do you call them? Uh, oh
Commentator?
yeah, like, commentator, sorry. Yeah, commentator. And she actually commentated for the first time like a few 4 or 5 months ago. And it was awesome. It was a great stepping stone for the sport
Hmm.
in general. And I think it's awesome that they continue to get like former fighters to commentate, or to be a commentator. Like, I know someone I was throwing out there, Caitlin Neal. I think she's done a live event before. Um, I think Pearl Gonzalez. I think she's done a
Hmm.
boxing before.
Yeah,
I
she's done.
believe it
She's
was
done many.
boxing.
She's done icon fights as well.
Yeah, she's done really well with that. Pearl's
She's
also
like a big
really,
sister. I follow her path. We used to train together when we were kids, so she's helped me out a lot of my career as well.
well, she's also a Chicago girl too, eh?
Yeah, Well, you train in the
Yeah,
same gym, and
yeah.
that's how I know you're Canadian, eh? But oh god, these kids are yelling at me. They're like, "The hour's up, Shorty."
Are you still getting them donuts tonight, or what's the
Yeah,
deal?
yeah. That's why they're yelling at me.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, listen, we're just going over about an hour here. It's I think we're gonna end it here. You got kids that you got to
Mhm.
get donuts for,
Uh,
and
it's important stuff. It's important
it
stuff.
is donuts are fucking good. It is important. So for everyone that watched the stream, thank you for watching. Thanks for throwing out your comments, even if you're trolling the shit. Shorty, you're the most important man here. So thank you so much for coming on and doing this again. This was fun. And
Mm.
yeah, hopefully
Uh,
we don't get trolls next time. If not, I'm gonna have to like tell them to fuck right off. So
I'm trying to get the confetti. Come on, there it goes.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I wasn't sure if it was work on the stream, but it
Uh,
did. Yeah, I like it.
no, I get one more. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's what I'm talking
We're
about.
out
That's
of
how
here.
you end it.
I appreciate you, Luke. And remember, you're not a basic bitch. You're better than that.
I know I'm king fucking. Oh, I don't know if we're gonna throw on something next time.
We'll find it. We'll find. We'll discuss this.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.